All right, they've been talking about it for years. They've finally done it. That's right. They have canceled student loans up to $20,000 of student loans if you're eligible. So, are you eligible? What are all the details? I've got that and more coming up. My name is Mike Bernard. I'm the host of The Wise Money Show. I'm also one of the certified financial planners right here at Korhorn Financial Group. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and smash that thumbs up button. What a time to be alive. They've been talking about canceling student loans for a long time, and I would use the term forgive student loans. However, there are forgiveness programs out there, and this one is distinctly different. That's right. On Wednesday, the White House announced, President Biden announced that they are canceling up to $20,000 of eligible student loans for those of you that are eligible. I can't believe it. We've been talking about it for several years. We know that there's a student loan crisis going on, and many people are just under the weight of so much debt. And so listen, it can be very confusing because you've had a choice as to what school to go to, how much it costs, whether you're going to work, how you're going to pay for it, all that sort of stuff. And I'm not going to get into all of that, okay? I do know that can be terribly confusing. What I want to focus on is, to me, when I first heard that this was being proposed and then heard that it was announced, I just had tons of questions, okay? So, there's an income eligibility. So which income from which year? Is that this year? Is that next year? What debt? Like, should I go out right now and get some student loan debt so I can have it canceled? And so what about Parent Plus loans, that sort of thing? So I still have a handful of questions, which I'll share later, but I've got some answers here. We're gonna go through it right now. So the first question is, how much student loan debt? This is confusing, okay? It's $10,000 of student loan debt is forgivable, is cancelable, okay? Up to $10,000 is canceled, but if you have qualified, if you received a Pell Grant, meaning you've qualified for some other need-based aid, the Pell Grant, then you could have another $10,000 of student loans cancelable, okay? Does that make sense? So technically, if you've got student loans and meet the income eligibility, which I'll explain in a second, and you got a Pell Grant, you were eligible for a Pell Grant, then you can have $20,000 of student loans forgiven, okay, or canceled. If you weren't able to, if you didn't qualify for a Pell Grant, then your limit is $10,000 of student loans that's cancelable. What about that income limit? It applies to both, whether you got the Pell Grant or not. The income limit is you can't have income above $125,000 as a single filer, or $250,000 if you're married filing jointly. Now, one of my questions still, I haven't seen it, maybe you have seen this answer, what about married filing separately? Lots of people still do that when they have student loans because they're working and using the income-based repayment. And to do that effectively, you marry file separately and you give up a lot of tax benefits likely when you do that. So I believe the $125,000 is still that limit for married filing separately, but I haven't seen that explicitly said yet. But ultimately, income of $125,000 or less as an individual, or $250,000 married filing jointly. Which income are we talking about? I would assume adjusted gross income, although I haven't seen that specifically stated. That would be all of your income minus your 401k contributions, minus HSA, minus that sort of stuff, but not minus a qualified business income deduction, or not minus your standard deduction. I believe the income that they're referring to is adjusted gross income. That's my guess, but that's also a question I don't have an answer to just yet. I haven't seen it. And this was a big question. Okay, what income year? Are we talking about 2022? Because I still got some time to manipulate my income, maybe avoid some capital gains, maybe harvest some losses, make some contributions. No. It is your income from tax year, so your tax return from 2020 or 2021. How do you decide? My guess is either one of those if you're income qualified. If you're below $125,000 individual, $250,000 married filing jointly, then my guess is either one of those, not both, either one, you're eligible and could have this $10,000 up to $20,000 if you're eligible for a Pell Grant, then could be cancelable. So again, if you had the Pell Grant, if you are eligible for Pell Grant, then up to $20,000 of student loans can be canceled, but If you didn't have the Pell Grant, just $10,000. Both of those, though, you still have to meet the income qualification. If you received the Pell Grant and your income is above these thresholds, none of it is cancelable. All right, so big question to me: what student loans are eligible? Federal student loans. Federal student loans. So private student loans. Hopefully you did not consolidate your student loans with a private company, with a bank, something like that. Federal student loans are cancelable. They're eligible for this. And to me, another big question was, what about Parent Plus loans? Because you as the student could take them out, but you as a parent could take out Parent Plus loans, federal Parent Plus loans for a child or for a graduate student. Yeah, Parent Plus loans are eligible as well. So the interesting thing is, take this for example, if you had student loans and you were eligible for a Pell Grant, now you could cancel up to $20,000, okay? If your spouse, same thing, up to $20,000. If your parent also got Parent Plus loans that helped for your school, they could do another $10,000 as well. So there's quite a bit here depending on how it's structured if you meet all of these unique requirements. All right, so my big question with this was, number one, this creates just a moral hazard, bunch of confusion. But, well, right now, people are paying for college right now. Should you quickly take out a loan? Should you reach out to your school right now and say, hey, listen, I meant to take a loan out? No, the only eligible loans for this are loans that were in place before June 30th, or I think before July 1st of this year, okay? So the loan needed to be there before June 30th of this year in order to qualify. So you can't go out and get a student loan right now and have it qualify, or assume I'll get a student loan for next semester and have it qualify for this. No, it's got to be an existing loan already in place. Other question that I had was, what if you're currently in default status? Does that mean you're not eligible? This is the shocker, guys, and I guess in one way not really, but another way very much so. If your student loans are currently in default, which a significant percentage unfortunately are, you're still eligible for this $10,000, up to $20,000 if you've got the Pell Grant. So being in your student loans being in default status doesn't make you ineligible for this. But the other thing, and again, I'm trusting the source here, this is brand new, I can't verify this other than the sources that I've seen, but if you were in default status, not only do you get up to the $20,000 the student loan canceled, but you're now out of default status. You're now caught up in current is what this plan is making happen. So that would be terrific. And for those of you, again, suffocating by the weight of your student loan, or maybe you have in the past, this is a fresh start and can help you start making progress then. Is this cancellation of student loans, either the $10,000 or the $20,000, is it taxable? No. And you might say, well, that's a ridiculous question. Guys, it used to be. And a lot of the forgiveness programs, again, before some laws were just recently passed and put in place, it would have been taxable to you. So think of this. You went through and did all the forgiveness program, and now you had your $50,000 of student loan forgiven, and wham, you got hit with a tax bill because that $50,000 was now included as income. That's not the case with this $10,000 or $20,000 if you qualify, if you had a Pell Grant. So it is not taxable. What if you have more than $10,000? What if you have more loans than what will be canceled? Okay, then yeah, and I think that will be most people. Right now, if you have student loans, the average balance is just under $30,000. So I think this $10,000 or potentially $20,000 will go a long way, but many people will still have loans. Right now we have got $1.75 trillion of student loans out there. This total plan costs $310 billion. I don't know where they're going to get the money from, and that's going to spark a lot of you to complain, and I get frustrated with that too. But listen, $310 billion, essentially, if that comes off the $1.75 trillion, we still have $1.45 trillion. That was the level of our student loans back in 2018. So this helps, and it will help a lot of people. Yes, at a cost. I get all that, not going to get into it. But it doesn't fix the problem. It doesn't fix the problem. So if you still have student loans, okay, then work with your CFP and get aggressive on getting those things paid off. Within this plan, the White House is proposing a new income-based repayment forgiveness plan, okay? That if your income, or excuse me, if your student loans are below $12,000, basically recalculating what the formula is and how long it will take for you, or how long you need to do the income-based repayment before it gets forgiven. So, they have not yet released all of those details yet, but I guess what I would just tell you is, assuming that the loans that are cancelable, in your case, if you still have student loans after that, still get after those, and just know that there might be a new income-based repayment system that you may be eligible for that could help you get more or the rest of your student loans forgiven if you work and qualify through that new program. All right, and then when does this take effect and what do you need to do? Is there a form you need to fill out? Is it going to be automatic? We're still waiting on those details. The White House and the administration should release that in the coming weeks. But the idea is, if you're currently working an income-based repayment plan right now, then your loan provider, your loan servicer, already has your tax return information. So they should know immediately whether you apply, or whether you will be eligible or not. And they should be able to just take care of it. I don't know. But for those of you that aren't working an income-based repayment or some sort of forgiveness plan, you might not have much connection with your loan servicer. And I would tell you right now, make sure you've got that connection. Doesn't mean you got to, do a chat with them or send them an email, but make sure you can log in online, okay? Because that's likely, as new information comes out, your loan servicer is likely going to be the one that says, all right, here's what we're going to need you to do. Fill out this form, do this thing, blah, blah, blah. So more details to come on that. But if you're on income-based repayment right now, I'm hoping there won't be much for you to do. If you're not, make sure you have log into your 401k and you can easily access, or not log into your 401k, log into your student loans, and so you can easily access your account. And then my final question, okay, I was able to answer most of them. I shared, a couple additional questions that I'm still waiting. Is it, adjusted gross income, that sort of thing. But I also have a question of, listen, depending on when you took the student loan out, it could have very different interest rates. So do you get to pick which 10,000 of student loans or 20,000 gets forgiven? Is it automatically the highest interest rate, or is it the oldest loan, or do you essentially just get a free ticket of 10 grand or 20 grand and then you can apply it to whatever loans you want? I don't know. Obviously, I would want it to be the highest interest rate. I would hope they don't just automatically apply it to the lowest interest rate. We'll have to see, but that was one of the open-ended questions that I had. All right, I hope that helps. Again, if you have felt burdened by your student loans and you're doing everything you can to make progress on your student loans, this should be a huge help. I know it creates lots of confusion, some moral hazard as well, but if that's you, or if that's your child or grandchild, this should be a huge help. Any additional questions, work with your certified financial planner, stay in touch with your loan servicer, but then if you've got loans beyond this, work with your CFP to figure out what priority those should have, how aggressively you can pay them off, and then student loans and getting out from under student loan debt is one of your financial goals. So is maybe buying a house, so is getting emergency fund funded, retiring someday, helping your kids with college, vacations every other year, those doing home improvements, buying the next car. I mean, this is one of your financial goals among many. Work with your certified financial planner, figure out what's the best approach to get through the rest of this goal, but then how does it relate and what are your other financial goals so that you're on track with those as well. Work with your CFP on that. If you don't have a CFP on your team, you can contact one on my team, find us online, Korhorn.com, that's Korhorn with K, wisemoneyshow.com, you can find us there as well, or give us a call, 574-247-5898. All right, there you have it. Go out and take your next wise step in your financial life.